Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever on this planet that you are. My name is Raul, and I will start by poetry is a way of taking life by the throat. That was a quote from Robert Frost, and this is the Inspired Poetry Corner. Welcome to you all, those that are in the Zoom chat, those that are listening, and those that will be watching on YouTube. Thank you for being here on Sunday morning. It is becoming a ritual, a Sunday morning revival. This is another way to enjoy church through a poetic flow. This is not it's about religion. This is about poetry. This is about poets. This is about writers. This is about the creative flow of life. And that's what this recital is about. It is not an open mic. So those that are here just to participate as far as bringing your energies, you're more than welcome. We always love that. And for the poets that are going to be reciting, thank you for being here. Thank you for providing your energies and your love and your creative flow to this. I'm so grateful. So it's so great to see your faces and looking around in the different parts of the globe that's represented. I myself sit here in Toronto, Canada, the country just north of the 49th parallel. And I think Roxy wants to say something. Do you want to recite a poem, Roxy? Roxy, I'm doing a show. See? So anyway, please sit back, fasten your seatbelt. We'll be flying at an altitude of 35,000 feet. Having said that, it is my honor to start this off because our feature gets to go first. And this is the first time reciter here, and it's our first feature ever. I'm always honored anytime a poet is going to be featured for the first time anywhere here. So to tell you a little bit about Leah Bailey. She was raised in the US, permanently lives in the UK now since 2003, has an international point of view when it comes to looking at life. When it comes to inspirational nature, the world around her, the world is her oyster. She's the teacher of English literature for the past 10 years. She writes poetry, fiction, and she's really dedicated her life to the written word and the ability to use the word to inspire and connect people. She has 3 solo collections and is published in the Fire Dust Anthology from Here Comes Everyone's Magazine, as well as an anthology to post-lockdown stories called Life Outta Lockdown. She's accomplished. We're becoming friends. I truly enjoy her poetry, her words, and her presence. She just came back from an epic trip involving many European countries, and I've had the pleasure of Zooming with her and seeing some of her photos. So I'm looking forward to the stories that's going to come from that, the poetry and everything else. But for today, she's here to share some of her brilliant works already. So I invite everyone within this recital to snap it up, clap it up, and to welcome Leah Bailey.
Thank you very much for that introduction. The first piece I have for you is actually from one of those anthologies, and the Fire and Dust Anthology was written to kind of celebrate things like this, where poets get together on Zoom, and we started getting together on Zoom over the pandemic because the open mics weren't possible and nobody wanted to get rid of them. So the idea of, and I was among those that joined in those kind of worldwide Zoom poetry inspirational things. And so the first poem I have for you today is from that anthology called Ignite. A fire begins with an ember glowing in the dark. A flare, a flicker glints in the breath before breath. A multitude of voices begin with a single spark. Whispers rustle, kindle, stir the flames of the rest. Styles stimulate and animate another, then another. Once set off, flame spreads many threads of light. Like a web connected, the whole world covered. Out of silence beams a symphony so bright. Before us, we scatter the fragments of voices, granules of soul set in motion with rich soil. sifting through leaves of paper, many choices, burn the past to ashes with our tears and toil. A place for everything and everything in place. We dredge the earth and grime, find our grit. Fire and dust burns with us all face to face, facing the cinders of the truth we have writ.
Wow.
So that was kind of just the stimulus for that, was just to write about the spirit of fire and dust. And that was my contribution to that as part of the anthology for Fire and Dust from Here Comes Everyone magazine. In that same spirit, I'm going to go back to another piece that I wrote for my first book, Between Hindsight and Foresight, which I have shared before, but I think really aptly connects and identifies what I try to do with a lot of my poetry. So it's called Connecting, and I hope you enjoy it. If you've time in London Waterloo, go upstairs next to the Coffee and Pigeons. Look down, especially weekday evenings, and see the great heart pumping with life. I'm amazed, overwhelmed, aghast, all those people, strangers in proximity. I know it's not done and all, but I think, should I say hello to the parent next to me, checking the train I know how to locate? Should I pass a subtle tissue to the girl reading her texts as I have done before? Should I stand in the way of the guy getting aggressive and pretend my headphones are on? Should I share a smile with the lady across from me at the person next to me nodding off over a video? The overflow of conversation waiting to be had bubbles to my lips. I can't stop it. Looking down on the flow of chaos, I wonder how many of them have lives I should know, would know, could know. How many would want to know me? Is it so bad dipping hands into the stream of humanity, see if someone grabs hold as a needed, wanted contact? Kindness of strangers, reaching out to stop being strange. Why not? When did we become isolated in a crowd? When did we turn blind to suffering it costs nothing to alleviate? If you've the time in London Waterloo, go upstairs next to the Coffee and Pigeons. Look down, especially weekday evenings, and see the great heart pumping with life. Then look left and start talking. Okay, so from my first collection, Between Hindsight and Foresight, was published 2 years ago, and I had to do that whole thing that you did during the pandemic because it came out in May of 2020 with the online launch. Additionally, in 2020, I did my last international trip before the one I've just taken. As a result of that trip, I decided to write a kind of poetic journaling, a kind of travel writing, where it's poetry and recording of an experience of the trip. So this poem that I want to share with you is from my second book called Chasing Apollo. And it really kind of expressed how I felt coming away from a week in Rome. So on the seas of time travel. Time expands and contracts like breathing or blinking or flying. Time fills its sails like a frigate or butterfly, or kite. Time rolls and ripples like the Tiber or champagne or tears. You can dip into it like a memory or dessert or sauces. You can regret leaving like an unfinished task or a missed date or a lost earring. You can hope to return like a target or strategy or goal. You can go forward like imagination or creation or dream. Travel in time now to a place, to a feeling, to a moment. Breathe. So just a piece I wrote based on the flight coming home and how I felt about going back, which is why the journey that was mentioned that I just got back from included Rome for my the second time I was in Rome. I guess we're going on a kind of imagery journey here, because the piece I wanted to share from you is again from my first book, Between Hindsight and Foresight, and it's that anticipation. It's that feeling of a storm that's coming, and it's called, obviously, Summer Storm. And I really got deep into that sensory experience of what you feel and what you think before a thunderstorm hits. So, Summer Storm. The air is heavy and full of possibility, waiting, tense, anticipating. I feel it sink into my skin in the muggy, oppressive heat, the feverish thoughts tied up and snarled together like tangled rope, strangling me. That heaviness inhaled, every breath makes my chest feel like bursting. Needs to break sometime, doesn't it? Finally home, momentary shade seems cooler, but shut up windows and doors mean stale, stuffy air until I push the windows from their panes, out of breath, even if the air outside is hotter. Clouds are gathering in the dimming light of summer sun. Trees hold their breath, and I stand still at the open back door to the night, glass half raised, waiting for when it starts to break. Like the pulse of air, breath, light momentarily stops, waits for a beat. Starting soft, starting slow, like the little gasp of fear or pain or shock or relief, the first whispers of water kiss the leaves in my back garden. The calm beginning, but it won't stay that way. It never does. Soon the whisper roars and I exhale in release as I stand in my dry kitchen, staring into the summer storm. I stare into it, a part of and apart from its energy and drenching influence. I close my eyes and feel the vibration of rolling thunder wash through me. See the flash of lightning despite eyelids and distance, like the thoughts that race and blow through my mind from all corners. The storm rages, turning sighs of relief from the parched planks into groans of protest from the branches and trunks. Something resonates in my core, feels the pull of this chaotic natural burst of water, washing the dust and grime down the cracks that lay beneath, cleansing the surface, sinking into, feed the thirst of the life left too long without the clarity of the raging, rolling storm, emptying the pregnant, heavy air, giving birth to something, releasing something, blanking the slate with air, mind, and soul cleared for the morning dew. Sorry, my page jumped. That's why at the pause, I lost my line. So my next piece for you is intensely personal. And it was kind of top of the list, the very first thing I picked out that I wanted to read for you, because I never get to read it, but because it's a long piece. And it's actually one poem that was written in 3 parts. So the very first part I wrote during a major change in my life in July. And then the second part I wrote kind of by accident 1 year later. Like I didn't intend to write a follow-up to the first piece. And then I realized later that it was exactly a year after I'd written the first piece. And so I intentionally wrote the third piece 1 year after that to kind of round off the trilogy of this poem that covers the breakdown and recovery from a major change in your life. And so it's called Pieces in Parts. And so the first piece was written in July of 2011. Piece by piece falls away, placed, packed, carried away into the van to go, leaving emptiness behind. Bit by bit, the reality sinks into my mind and into my heart, too real by a good bit. Box by box, unloaded into an empty flat. Piles mounded around, containers containing it all. Room by room, I arrange, unpack, unbox, unfold pieces of the past while the future shatters. Shard by shard, I'm cut on the edges of soul and heart, laying in boxes, broken and randomized. Minute by minute, I move through each piece of things connected to disconnected memory. Hour by hour, distracted by ordering the space, half-heartedly failing, avoiding an empty heart, movement by moment passes. Do, finish, carry on, next piece and more till it's done, as I am. Memory by memory, I look, search for chant, reason and hope. Grains gathered in desperation, thought by thought, the pieces come together, nothing remains, and anything is possible. The second piece, the second part of this poem was written in July of 2012. So pieces and parts, second piece. So many pieces to place, so much time to fill, so much life to build, endings and beginnings. Day by day, a year goes, so short and still long, mind and heart so different, hardly know what's real. The broken pieces start to fit together again, knit together again into something new. Rooms are no longer empty or new to me. Now they hold memories, slow built. Now they hold what I have become, still mending the shape, just around the edges. No longer as sure of what the shape is. I think I like it, but still incomplete. A piece of me is okay with being incomplete. A piece of me is not. Angry, frustrated, impatient. I'm tired of road building too many goddamn pieces that don't fit anywhere. Some pieces don't fit anywhere anymore, which is both good and bad, because those pieces also don't fit in a box, won't go away, no matter how I arrange. Those pieces stare and sit stubborn, waiting for resolution, can't hide them. My mind refused to lock them away, so they gather dust, waiting for some other to tell me where to put them, finally, so I and they wait. I find new pieces to my new pictures, enjoy each edition, forget the old ones, till I come home, my new piece of home and life, and the old stares from a corner. Days I want to smash the old beyond repair, beyond any renewal. Days I want the pieces of the past to weave with the new and to make it complete. I hate my piece of limbo, that box of leftover pieces with unresolved edges. Nothing remains of hopes I once had. The picture is new. I want more than before. Anything is possible still, but I can't wait forever for clarity. I'll go to pieces. And so that was the second piece that was accidentally written 1 year after the first. And this is the third and final piece of the poem, which was purposely written in July of 2013. Not moving the pieces around the board anymore. Not again. A 2-year piece of my existence, getting paper cuts on mislaid pieces, mislaid memories, almost forgotten, almost resolved, almost put away. No place in the future for almost anymore, nor old pieces of old pictures. Time to let them go, let them fade, slip into a box, packed away and past. These pieces were important, needed, but no longer. They have changed shape, not to be forgotten, but to be kept, fitted where they belong, in old pictures of before I found myself, before I found new place, before I found peace in my own skin, in my own self, in my own needs, in my own wants, in my own picture of pieces I want, need, and have fitting into place in my own future. Laying the pieces one by one, day by day in front of me, enjoying the new shape, the new picture, and looking at the piece of the horizon. Each time I finish a solid row, the edges change, the directions change. I know that the missing pieces will arrive, and I don't miss the old pictures as much as I used to anymore. I have set the pieces free. Old, new, all the ones in between. Old will fade and not cut me. New will multiply and solidify. The fuzzy edge doesn't scare me. My piece of sky, my developing picture. Everything is possible once again, and one thing is finally certain. I'm not going to pieces ever again, and I'm hungry for the next piece of life. Okay. Ooh, well, okay. Like I said, that one is intensely personal, and I never get to read it out because obviously it's too long for a normal set. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to read it here. The piece here is from my newest book, Coffee and Paper Cuts. So this is one of my newer pieces. It's similar to some of the other pieces I've read for you today, but there's something about it that I enjoy. It started out in a way that was different than it ended. And some of my poetry does that even to me. It kind of takes control of the idea. And this is one of them. So Dishes in the Sink from Coffee and Paper Cuts was intended to be an extended metaphor. And it's intended to be a kind of humorous, kind of self-loathing of doing the dishes idea. But it didn't quite end how I expected. So I'll let you make of it what you will. Dishes in the Sink. We've all done it. Just one glass or just one plate sitting by the sink. The breakfast bowl rushing out the door, or just dessert, too late before bed. Maybe the casserole needs a soak, or just the pots can wait until tomorrow. Before long, the buildup stares, stubbornly refusing to magically be cleaned by itself. Adding one at a time seems only to add new plant species growing in the kitchen. Now the stacks are daunting enough that tackling it waits until the weekend with free time. On the weekend, I find I have more things demanding my time than dishes. Monday comes again and the dishes remain heavier, higher, more disgusting, more repellent. I want to wash them. I really do. I want to clear it from my list of things to do. Simplest things can wait, can't they? Until they stack so high, heavy, and crash, breaking you. So that's Dishes in the Sink that kind of did a little volta there at the end and confused even me while I was writing it. Okay. I think I'm just trying to think. The last two pieces are from my most recent collection, like that one, and it's Coffee and Paper Cuts. I'm just going to reverse the order because I want to lead with, I want to change it, but I love dealing with forms. A lot of the ones I've been reading for you tonight are not rhyming ones, or they're not heavily structured, but the English teacher in me cannot resist trying to pin an idea into a structured form and making it do what I want it to do, or making my words better by confining it with rules. And this one is one of the more difficult forms that I occasionally challenge myself with, called a villanelle. And if you don't know, you're welcome to ask me in the 5 minutes of asking. But this one is called Don't Accept. Don't accept because that's the way it's always been done, as a reason to keep people down. It's always been true. Goodwill of the many can overcome the evil of some. Imbalance of justice, where it seems prejudice won, where the system is fought by the brave, no matter how few. Don't accept because that's the way it's always been done. Rights gained and held for small groups, one by one, each voice an ally, adds strength, adds me, adds you, Goodwill of the many can overcome the evil of some. Stand up and say no when what's wrong then, now, is wrong to come. Shout till you can't, even when shouting seems all you can do. Don't accept because that's the way it's always been done. Together, change happens from highest high rise to lowest slum. Make them change and change. Don't stop till it's pushed through. Goodwill of the many can overcome the evil of some. Tragically, evil persists when too many good people get too numb. Be alive, be feeling, be fiery, do what's hardest to do. Don't accept because that's the way it's always been done. Goodwill of the many will always overcome the evil of some. So that is my villanelle in a kind of rebellious voice I try to communicate to my students. My final piece for you today, my final offering, I hope I still have time, I haven't been checking, is the piece, the other anthology that was mentioned that I was fortunate enough to be in, the stories from a whole group of a community Zoom that I was on, joined in for Life Outta Lockdown. And some of them are prose, some of it's poetry, but it's all about the kind of individual experience of 23 different authors. This was my offering to them. I had written and they published it, and then I put it in my coffee and paper cuts. So it's called I Don't Want to Write About Lockdown. Everyone is reflecting on the last 6 months of not seeing friends and family, but thanks to webcam programs, I've seen more friends, more family, more often than any other 6 months ever, because people are more willing, more available, more still, more aware of how important seeing is. Over 24 weeks of wondering what next week will bring, of seeing the wishes of people who wanted a never-ending weekend granted, all blends together until schedules are lost and the 172 days begin to lose their meaning, and I try to find a reason to get up. Everyone is reflecting and writing and reading and knitting and learning new languages, new skills, new hobbies, new music, new films, new shows, 4,128 hours of trying to fill gaps previously filled with the rat race, deadlines, appointments, alarms, and snooze buttons. Too much time now to know what we did. I don't want to reflect on how much this isn't affecting me as it should. I don't want to write about spending 247,680 minutes not climbing the walls, not missing my commute, not feeling put out by not going out, not feeling any more lonely than usual, not feeling guilt about not learning new skills, not finishing that unfinished novel, no guilt about no guilt or interest. If I don't think about lockdown, if I don't write about lockdown, I won't worry about my heart crying out alone in these months, weeks, days, minutes, any more than the decades of fellowship and love of family and friends before now and hopefully after. These 14,860,800 seconds that have consumed the consciousness of the world to the exclusion of millennia. Thank you.
Let's unmute, guys. Let's unmute and snap it up, clap it up for her.
Ooh.
Well done. Wow.
Very good.
Killed it. Oh,
Very good.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for sharing with us.
The way you weave your
The way that
words.
you
Wow.
put them across. Your metaphors are metaphors. Respect.
Well, they don't always behave. They don't always behave themselves. They don't always do what I expect them to do, which is entertaining for me sometimes.
You did what we expected. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
They're like chrysalids which suddenly burst out in bloom.
Chrysalides,
Beautiful butterfly.
chrysalides.
It's chrysalids.
It's not.
It hasn't got it.
Here we go, back to that beginning
Should we?
conversation. But what a first feature. How do you feel right now?
I feel relieved that I read the last poem and I'm good.
Okay. I think you
I'm,
did brilliant.
I'm proud. I'm proud of all of my work. I always feel like I put my truth into it. But as far as like, you know, being in a room with people whose books I have bought myself, that's a little bit more daunting.
Oh, I get it. Well, you know, it kind of ties into the opening quote that I use. Poetry is a way of taking life by the throat. That's kind of what I felt like you just did with us. You just grabbed us, and the way you weave your words, and then the tone of your voice as well. It just all works together. So someone was going to say something. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was going to say, I'll never see a stack of dishes without thinking of you.
Some of my work is illustrated. I have a program that I use that takes photographs and turns them into paintings. And my publisher was like, please tell me that's not your kitchen. I was like, okay, yes, it is, but it was after Thanksgiving dinner. So I was feeding 12 people. So, you know, she said, oh, well, that's okay. That's allowed.
That's people's kitchen every day, not just Thanksgiving. So, but what a wonderful set. So we follow the features on the Inspired Poetry Corner with a bit of a question. This is something that I've stolen from the Insiders Actor Studio, who in turn stole it from a French interviewer. And it's just 10 questions. I don't ask all 10, but it's just a different way to get to know the poets. And one of the things I love about this recital and some of the other Zoom shows that I've gone to is it's an opportunity for us poets to actually connect and get to know each other. Because I think I first ran into Leah at Beehive, and loved her poetry and asked her to come and recite, and then asked her to feature. So it's an opportunity for us to connect, develop friendships, get to know each other in a different way. So I'll start off the questions by asking, do you have a favorite word? What's your favorite word?
Empathy.
Empathy? Okay.
I think I like it as a word because there's so much within it, and it represents, you know, a lot of what I try to do as a teacher, what I try to do as a poet, what I try to do as a human being, you know, just kind of like put myself out there so that anybody that feels exactly the way I do feels slightly less by themselves.
Right.
We get trapped in that concept of we're the only one that feels this way. Well, no, that's not so. We share it with other humans.
Okay. What's your least favorite word? If you have one.
I'm not sure I do. Maybe labels for a similar concept. You know, what they do. You know, labels box things in and they limit things.
Right.
I mean, you know, some labels can be used well, but and are warnings or cautionary tales, but most labels, I think, do more harm than good.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever you say. Do you have a favorite sound? What sound do you love the most? What do you like hearing?
Oh, toss up between the wind through the leaves of trees or rain on the roof. I think those are my favorite sounds. I guess they're almost identical. It's just that breath, that calming sound. I love it.
I've had most nights with rain and thunderstorms, so I love that sound as well. Or rain falling on a tin.
Like the tent. Yeah, the tent roof.
Love that sound. Love with a bit of thunder. So, what does poetry mean to you?
It's a means to examine everything. I've been writing since I was 14. It's always been very therapeutic for me. I run workshops for writing for well-being, where I kind of encourage people to just free write just for fun. I find that poetry means to me that ability to take something outside my head and put it outside of me onto a piece of paper. And then I can deal with it. I can either reflect on it and like cast it out if it's like a demonic kind of feeling, if it's a negative feeling, if it's a joyful feeling that I'm penning to the page, then I can relive it and preserve it so that anytime I need it, it's there and I haven't lost it. It's not tainted by time or by change. That, you know, that concept, the thing, once it's there, I can use it and reflect on it and examine it and need it. Use it as needed and share it with someone else who might need it for different reasons and might see something in it that helps them create something or helps them, you know, cast out their own negative demons, or at least feel like they're not the only one fighting the battle. So, you know, this concept of using it as poetry means reflection for me. It means examining that which was outside of myself.
Good answer. Good answer. I can identify with that. Because I know you're a teacher. So it's not so much if you couldn't teach, what else would you do? If you could choose another profession or something else. Actually, you know what? When you were a kid, what are the things you think you wanted to do? Because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a football player, and then I also somehow wanted to magically walk on the moon without a spacesuit.
I mean, I guess both my parents are teachers. I was that kid in primary school that used to get my work finished early so that they would send me to the library. I was that kid that the librarian ran out of suggestions for, just pointed me in the direction of the fairy tale section and never really left. You know, so I think I was always destined to be a writer or a teacher. It's something I've always loved, always enjoyed. I don't think there was time when I ever really wanted to do anything else, except, you know, briefly, I had thought about the ministry when I was a teenager, going through seminary and that kind of thing, because people that were at my church helped me through a very difficult time. And I wanted to be that for someone else. But after that, after a short time when I was in university, I realized that teaching does the same job, just with different tools. So, you know, I was firmly back on the path of teaching. I suppose if we're going like really, really little, I suppose there was time I wanted to be a princess. You know?
Okay.
No, but I wanted my own horse and like all the dresses, you know, in a castle, proper Disney, you know, whatever.
Well, I can make her a princess. I don't know about the horse and the dresses. So.
Yeah, just as long as we don't go with Princess Leia, because the Star Wars jokes got old when I was 7. All right, that was just not a thing.
Yeah, I think I'm over them as well. So, what's your favorite cuss word? As a teacher, you have tons.
I hear tons,
I hear
but understanding them is a different challenge because they keep coming up with new ones.
Right.
And I either don't understand them or don't want to understand them, because then I have to tell them off when I hear them. Weirdly, when I was at school, I also studied German, and I found that the technical word for bastard in German was like, you know, this is what you do in German class, like you look it up and you know, you find all the swear words because that's what you do as a teenager. And I found that the kind of technical German word for it was unheiliges Kind, which kind of roughly translates to unholy child, because it was outside the bounds of wedlock and like a literal bastard kind of thing. And there was just something always so interesting about unheiliges Kind as a swear word that I thought was great. I'm sure it's not accurate. I'm sure it's not something that they use in current German, but I loved the concept of unheiliges Kind as a swear word for bastard.
I think I'll have to review the other past recitals and just maybe do an anthology of poets' favorite swear words, just from because I think that's the first time we've been given a swear word in German. So, and for future features, I invite you to come up with a swear word that's not of the English language. It's always interesting to learn. Just watching a little bit of the chat thread between Alexandra and Ian and talking about the empathy meaning, original meaning in Greek is the opposite of what we understand today. So it's funny how language and words change. So
not always for the better. Again,
not always for the better.
Yeah.
But that's just life. We tend to change and flow, you know. someone may like the word but not the meaning and want to keep the word. I mean, we're watching some of that happen in our society today. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. One last question. If heaven is real and you show up to the pearly gates, what would you want God to say to you when you arrive?
Well done. Just kind of, I'd like him to tell me that I did okay at being the best human I could be, and that was enough.
Yeah.
That I was enough. Because we get imposter syndrome, and we frequently tell ourselves or are told by other people that we're not enough. I'm just hoping for it was enough, well done kind of thing.
That's a good answer, because that's the answer I would probably give as well, because it is, we are enough. We always are enough, and we're here to have this experience and just to live it to the best of our ability. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, not just for the feature, but for indulging in the questions and getting, sharing answers, and gives us a little bit more insight to the poets. I'm going to ask everyone again to unmute and just give us some love and hoop it up and clap it up and snap it up for her. What a brilliant
Well done, Leah.
Well done. What a brilliant first feature. For those of you that put on your own events, and if you're looking for feature, here's another poet that I think would bring great value to your vehicle. So thank you so much for this. Does anyone have anything they want to say before we get on with the show?
Thank you for sharing your work with us. I really enjoyed hearing it.
Thank you for listening and indulging.
And Leah, if you have your social media contact, where to find your books, all that, put it in the chat. And poets, I invite you to reach out to her and befriend her and get to know her and so forth. So, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. It's okay. So I'm putting my link tree in there. That's always got all the events I'm going to be at, and it's also got all my channels and socials and contact and how to find my books and all the rest of it. It's like one place for everything, which I love.
All right, so we're going to start the excuse me. We're going to start the recital. I will. The process is that I'll let people know who's coming up. I've already posted one list. I've updated the list. I'll put that up again. And each poet has up to 5 minutes. You don't have to use the full 5 minutes. Some just want to recite one. I tried to put the list in an order of recognizing people in different time zones. So trying to get those people on first. If you do need to leave, please do not feel like you're a prisoner. You can leave, although I might cry. And I might hound your Facebook page and go, why did you leave? No. But no, seriously, you don't have to stick around, because I know for the first poet's coming up, it's like almost after midnight where he's at. So yeah, I appreciate your efforts for being here. All right, let's start the recital piece after the feature. This first poet is coming all the way from Japan. He's a new friend of mine that if you ever get a chance, try to stop by the Kabuto open mic. They also do the Japanese poetry slam, which I've been actually checking out. I think there's a show coming up. I think there's a show coming. Anyway, it's interesting attending a slam in a different language that you don't understand at all. But if you pay attention and you listen to the vibe and the poets and you watch their body and so forth, you still can, I think you get a feel of what it is they're saying. So I've been enjoying attending this. But anyway, I'm bringing I'd like to call up to the mic our first poet, excuse me, all the way from Tokyo, Takaki. So if you can unmute yourself,
hey.
The floor is yours.
Hello.
Man. Hello.
Oh. Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Hi.
Good afternoon, good evening. And this is actually September 19th here in Japan. And yes, thank you, Raul, for inviting me. And I'm so happy and I'm so honored to be a part of this event. And yes, today I'm going to read my poem in Japanese. And even if you don't understand what I'm saying in my poem, just don't worry. I just prepared my English translation, and yes, even if you guys don't understand the Japanese, most of Japanese don't understand my poem either, so don't worry. Okay, so let me share my screen. So, do you guys see this? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So the title of the piece is Chicken Crisp Rhapsody, and this is a brief translation for this poem is my crazy love for Makidi's, and because I'm from kind of a poor family, and the $1 Makiri, I mean, my chicken crisp in Japanese menu always save me. So I do love it. Okay, so this poem goes like, と、その歯並びをかたどった表面は、私がかじりつくよりも前から覚悟を決めて胸を張っていたのだと思う。ふっくらとして見えてその実、一度突き破れば驚くほどさくりと組織は引きちぎれ、白くて柔らかい岩肌が顔を表す。対象の半径を超える一口はあまりに従前で、百姓の繊細とは言えない舌をまんべんなく踊る。巨大資本の味がするマヨネーズとスパイスが私の顔を抱きしめ、束の間の幸福なため息が鼻から抜ける。This is Everything's gonna be alright 的な歌詞が大嫌いなやつのための100円マークよ。I'll be always on your side みてえなノリに嫌気がさしたやつのためのチキンクリスピーよ。戦後米の国に米と呼ばれた国から流れ込んだ金の塊が生み落とした過度な脂肪と食へのファンタジーから授かった肥満、2型糖尿病、高血圧、脂質異常症を指して鼻をつまむてめえよ。高価格、低栄養価、低高カロリーの教科書にくだらない落書きを残す勇気もないてめえよ。低所得層の子供の健康を安全圏から憂うてめえよ。ファストフードで過剰なカロリーと塩分を摂取しないために創造的な解決策を見つける必要が、うるせえよ、ぶちのめっそ。贅沢はこれで育ってきてんだよ。消費者が健康的な選択をできるよう、うるせえよ、ぶちのめっそ。これで何度だって死なずにいられたんだよ。1個80円か100円か120円かを指して気にも留めない育ちなら一遍で直せてめえ、この野郎。炭酸はシャンパンじゃねえ、散々な目にあったって流し込むファンタグレープだろう。炭酸電池がリチウムイオンバッテリーに変わってからも、イム袋が充電式に変わらない今も、今や3つ一気に頼んでも戸惑いや躊躇に苛まれることはなくなっても、その歯並びをかたどった表面は私がかじりつくよりも前から再会に胸を震わせているのだろう。ふっくらとして見えてその実、突き破られているのに心なしか、また会えて嬉しいと囁いているようにさえ聞こえる。2021年疲れ果てた竹の塚22時を過ぎても入り口を突き破る餃子の休憩をつなぐ。潰れたフィリピンパブのネオンの味がするマヨネーズとスパイスが死ななかった日を見せ、束の間飲み込むのに手こずる淡い涙がにじむ。This is Everything's gonna be alright 的な歌詞が大嫌いなやつのための100円マークよ。I'll be always on your side みてえなノリに嫌気がさしたやつのためのチキンクリスピーよ。Thank you very much. This is Takaki on the microphone.
Oh, people, unmute and give him some love. Wow.
Woo!
That's
I loved it.
wow.
Thank you.
I mean, such
That
an
was really
important
great.
subject to tackle as well.
Yes, yes. Beautiful, my friend. Beautiful. And
Thank
he
you.
raps
Thank you very much.
and he raps as well. Should go on his page and
Ah,
listen to some of his
okay.
Japanese rapping. Yeah, you're brilliant. You're such a talent, young man. You're such a talent.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you. Thank you. If you guys enjoy this, yeah, I'm so happy. Thank you very much.
Oh, it was. I mean, for me, listening to the Japanese, I didn't even want to read it. I just want to listen to it because there's so much emotion in your words, the way you articulate it in your language. You know, I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, do you hear it that way when we're speaking English? Because I feel like I can just hear all the emotions of your poetry when you speak. So, well done, well done. Snap it up, guys. Give him some love. Give him some love. I know it's really late for you. Did you participate in the last round of the poetry slam, or?
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Did you ask me if I can stay longer
No, did you
tonight?
participate in the last poetry slam? I know you guys are doing your rounds of poetry slams right now in Tokyo.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was participating in the preliminary in May, and yes, I got a first prize. So I'm gonna join in the national Japanese national final
That's
in the end of the year.
in December, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
December. Yeah.
Well, if you
Tokyo.
guys get a chance, like I said, join Adam on Facebook or social media. Put your information in the chat where people can reach out to you.
Oh yes.
And if you get a chance, definitely check out the Japanese poetry slam coming up in December. I think it's the final. So I've got the notifications and I get the bell, so I don't want to miss that at all. So anyway, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. And from the island of Japan, we're going to move. I said last time to the island of Greece, but I was told it's not an island. I know it's not an island, but I'm going to affectionately call it an island now because you have so many islands. But anyway, our friend Alexandra.
6,000 islands.
Yeah, that's what you said last 6,000. That's crazy.
I think half of Greece is sea.
Okay, the floor is yours, my friend.
Can you see the graphics?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Flying to. The flying is high. The flying is high. The flying is the highest. It lasts forever. Take me on the turquoise horse, over the hayfields, into the sun, forever. High mountains flying right, no crash landing. Deep ravines, rivers flowing, eagles above. Taking me on the turquoise horse. Love, freedom, poetry. If you can accept the windings of my mind, if you can trust the reality of my fantasies, living in the strange wonders and genuine pleasures of this world and other worlds, living where fantasy and reality merge, following the intuition and the intuitions of the past, following the invisible and the visible, lying by the sea under the olive tree. Open and ready, it's all changing. Don't think hard of the ghosts of the past. Where energy is rewarded, where life gives it all. At 14 and 16, they prepared me for you, taking me on the turquoise horse, over the wild flowers, into the wind and fire, forever. The flying is high, the flying is high, the flying is the highest. It is absolute. Thank you.
It's on mute, guys. Give us some love. Did you? So that's an older presentation that you did last time.
No, I didn't. Did I do that one last time?
Well, not for the last recital.
Oh.
Isn't that the one you did at the Moonlight one we did?
No, I did All Blown Up.
Oh,
For the
well, I
Moonlight.
love the graphics of this one. See what I mean?
But this one was made in 2000, so it is.
It is an
old.
older one. Well, it's new to
Yeah,
me.
my graphics have evolved since then. Rick knows.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I like the so this graphics that you just showed is from 2000.
From 2000, yeah.
May have evolved, but I like the old one too. So I just love your stuff. So thank
That's
you.
good.
I love the stuff and then the voice. It definitely, yeah, give her a hand, guys. Give her a hand. Thank you so much for always supporting the recital and just supporting the various shows around on Zoom. So thank you, Alexandra. She's a real trooper because she'll show up at 3 her morning to recite at places. So it's crazy. All right, excuse me. Up next, we have the poet who we just did a special Inspired Poetry Corner for her called Moon Lovers Cafe in honor of releasing her first book of poetry called Full Moon Fire. So all away from the island of Saint Martin is Marianne.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. And first of all, I'd really like to say a personal thank you to Leah. I'm a July-born moon child. Your July series was absolutely gorgeous and so meaningful. And having come through several storms, including Fiona, which regrettably seems to be on its way as a hurricane now toward the island of Puerto Rico, your thunderstorms also hit a very strong note. And I want to thank you for all of your work. Yes, as Raul said, I live on the island of St. Martin, and I write a lot about the moon, and I write a lot about love, but I'd like to share with you in this moment a new direction that I've been going, where my work is more rooted in my island home. And I'd like to start out with a poem that I wrote for Moko Jambi Fest last summer. That is the Caribbean Stiltwalkers Festival, where there were hundreds of stiltwalkers present in one of our beautiful parks. The piece is called Osuna. Arms outstretched, legs akimbo, Osuna strides through the village as she has from the dawn of time in the beginning place. When she hears the djembe drums, her heart beats with pride as she remembers the salt spray against her face. The ocean's tears could not quench her thirst, even as 2 strong arms bore her to the new world where she stands resilient, tall as the tamarind tree, provoked by centuries of storms, brighter than the moonlit night, rising above the darkness of the land and secret hearts. Moko Jambi pours forth her guardian light. Thank you. That's the first poem. And I'd like to share with you a poem that I wrote for a friend inspired by his story, a Guadeloupe-born, Martinique-raised graphic artist, and now a very well-known muralist indeed here in the French Caribbean. He goes by the tag of MASH, and this poem is called Mother Africa Sun Halo. Born on the butterfly's wing, nurtured in the shade of Pele, adopted son of the salty soil, I move with the tectonic trinity that moves beneath my feet. Slowly but for good, I shift my inner geometry, coordinates on my mind's map. Crossing the ocean, I am baptized anew as I turn the keys to my past, lifting chains that link me to those born across the waves before me. Their bodies ghost across my canvas, held in your ancient embrace, holy books thrust into my hands in form that cannot hold me. I concentrate my faith in feathered strokes and brushes. Art is my religion. My Madonna wears a halo of sunshine. That's the second poem. And if my time so allows, I would share with you the roots of trees. I do not know if the tamarinds and oaks guard their feelings beneath thickened skin, pockmarked by blights and storms, natural and unnatural. I cannot say with certainty if forest memories ebb and flow through their xylem and phloem, only to accumulate at last in emotional dendrochronology. But I want to believe I do, as those hillside elders do, when I protect my heartwood in times of distress. Their longing roots plunge deeper, awash in emerald oxytocin that drives them even through rock toward the least they need to survive. Like those gnarled giants, I have weathered loss of face and dignity and near loss of mind in my time, yet it comforts me to think love burrows on like the roots of trees. Thank you very much.
Let's unmute, guys. Give it up for Marianne. Beautiful words. I live with a pentonic trinity. I love that line. It's brilliant.
So I like the simile of the last one, that, like the roots of trees. I just love the whole concept.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you so much, everybody.
Well done, well done. Good to see a smiley face again. Okay, let's continue on. Up next, we have a poet joining us for the very first time. So I'm really looking forward to hearing his words, and hopefully he'll become a regular. And I'll see you around the other Zoom room. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Henry.
Well, it's morning here, so good morning. I know it's evening in other parts of the world. This is always wonderful. Some of you I know, some of you I read with, and it's glad to see, and a lot of you are strangers, and I love hearing new work and getting turned on with poetry. These last two poets share all these wonderful moving pieces, and what I want to read, I'm going to take it to the other end of that bell curve. I write a lot about social issues, and James Baldwin is one of my favorite writers. I was an Artwire fellow where we watched all these different performances at the Oz Art Center as part of the Porch Writers Collective. I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, and there was a group, and they were a group of musicians, and they had a whole concert based on Baldwin. I was just floored. So as part of my responsibility, I wrote this piece, one of numerous ones. And I've never really written about James Baldwin. That's what I found out. So I'd like to share that with you. It's titled, Baldwin Speaks of Old and New Lynches. When just above my head, a lynching, seeking relief from grieving eyes, leaking slowly in disbelief. Racing hypertensive heartbeats, fear in my chest, pounding loudly. Beats to our African ancestors, sounding like distant drums, awakening the deep slumber, listening to an ancient chant. Scores of music that seem familiar. Dry branches applaud the wind, moving like praises to the word, clinging to old star notes coded, echoing on the Nile's currents. Catfish dance in depths muck. From Egypt to Mississippi woes, trying to find hidden bodies still, wanting the sorrow to end now, looking for blurry eyes, a sea of salty cries falling never dry. Will we ever mop up all the blood, staining history's pages crimson and black? raising our children as Kwanzaa corn, missing still many snatched, burned ears. They sizzle in the raging fire as they rise. Smoke twirling up, signals pointing, showing children the way home, searching for lost souls in limbo, knowing mass graves still hidden by the twisted hearts of demons. We only desire a fearless darkness. Counting the names in police records, watching the video footage of blue lies, allowing this rabid dog to storm free, with desire to hunt more Black meat. Trumpet blows to a new Harriet Tubman glory, running through concrete and steel, telling weary people to keep moving. Mourning stunted minds she left behind, to live on smiles and shuffle dances when their butts get tired and cramped, twerking along to see another day, longing a white cloth savior loves them, reaching for threads tied to their necks, then thicken into a noose for a picnic. Erected another native son, proud day, dragging flesh from his slave bones, banging on plantation floors, those rapes, castrating tails to stop the Black seed, dry, thin lips shouted about new trophies. When stuffed heads hung on the walls, stirring old hunt memories for sons, climaxing semi-automatic penises shoot, emptying hatred onto dirty, lusty sheets, with uncovered heads and proud smiles. Now screams about their rightful place, waving Confederate pride in the sun, standing their ground, a fearless old glory, bringing loads of cotton for more flags, hemp fibers to write a new constitution. When Baldwin, the old pastor's son, watching Blacks pull the weave apart, revealing their frailty and strength. Trapped naked beasts in the flower garden, clothed in sermons for marching plans. Around the world, loud outcries for justice, walking unstoppable waves of change, holding up signs for all to hear our voices, seeking proof of humanity to redeem. Now, the fire next time is freedom's glow. Thank you.
That's a brilliant and powerful piece, Henry. First time I'm hearing you reciting, I like you already because I too like James Baldwin. I reference him in one of my poems, one of his talks, Take This Hammer. So yeah, he's a voice that a lot of people need to be aware of today. So thank you. Thank you for coming in. Yeah, powerful piece.
Told you I had to take you to the other side.
I see much the same side. There's no right or wrong, good or bad when it comes to telling stories. And for me, that was almost like almost a bit of a history lesson as well, a reminder of the history we come from. And this, to me, the importance of history is not to beat each other over the brow with, but to learn from it so we don't repeat the same things that we once did. Hopefully we'll learn that lesson instead of fearing it, but learning from it. So thank you for that reminder on a Sunday morning, my friend. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please come back. And yeah, we'll definitely have to create more time for you because I love your flow. I love the words, the play, but also the storytelling behind it. So thank you. All right, from one storyteller to another storyteller. Are you guys in the same state? Because my friend Richard, who I usually
Tennessee, yes.
Yes, both of them Tennessee. So you're up, my brother.
Thank you so much. Here we go. I'm going to recite a piece drawn from the news. I occasionally commit poetry related to items in the news. Maybe you've heard this story. It's not about an excess of compassion, strangely enough, in a nation founded by stolen by immigrants, we find ourselves once again in a dilemma, and forces of government reach out, not to help, no, to grandstand. So this is this is called, look at that, it is called Ship 'em Out. DeSantis grabbed some refugees, load them up in 2s and 3s, thought he'd have a little fun and show those liberals how it's done. Then his buddy Abbott tried to show him up. He made him take a filthy bus to show him he's a guy you trust. Promised homes and jobs and schools, and thereby broke a dozen rules. DeSantis has $12 million. He'll put them in trains and planes. He'll load some buses, all to show he's got conviction. Although he's Catholic, he's got no contrition. Though all the bishops took offense when Biden preferred abortion laws that made sense and forbidden the sacraments, the bishops said, although the Pope went over their heads. DeSantis moved to push him off, says no room in Florida's Inn. The bishops got no beef with him, specifically on Friday, don't you know? Bishops don't care where those buses go. Yes, old Abbott's got the habit, and some call rabid, of sending refugees to liberal gown towns, gather them up and ship them around, hope to steam some educated scholars, dumping trash on their porches, doorsteps smaller. Let's see, he said, see how perhaps if these multitudinous mariachis disturb their naps, will justice ever pay some heed of all these jokers' dirty deeds? Will they grab this dirty laundry and collect these evil miscreants all and sundry? Which trials they deserve, otherwise from out this course they'll never swerve, as anyone can tell. They're the ones belongs in cells. And then I have one more for you. This one is a seasonal piece. Although if you looked in a store, you would think it's Christmas time or maybe Easter. Instead, I'm going to treat on that hallowed event in October. And this is called, Oh, Those Tiny Flying Fingers, How They Linger. Over 13,000 species as they leaky, streaky through the crystal quiet night. Though some might fear thee, I would appeal. See, continue as you please, dine mightily, nightily on those hovering bugs that bite and sting and hug all those ones we do not love. Over 13,000 species global in your reachy. And so your tiny noble falling feces probably fell on Martin Luther's theses. On a night so long ago, agile flyers, no, not deniers, darn wondering admirers, even little birdies and all those feathered boys and girlies, they all admire thee, O thou king of flexing hex-wing flyers. Some of your kin, though tiny and thin, weigh less than a penny, though others, not many, have winged windspans of 6 feet complete. The scientific name of your family is Chiroptera, which means, even to Frank Sinatra, in Latin, heart hand wing, which gives you standing, albeit modest, demure. I'm thinking as you're landing, yet as proud as she is saintly, sadly this, you'll find no painted dainty fingernails on her, as she sails with stunning nerve, a lot of flexy, nexy verve. The only flying mammal, although we've sought and scrambled, you're unique and flighty all through the nighty. When you handle beyond compare, as you flicker, spiral your awesome flyer, flying, spying in the night's sweet air. You're clearly our friend, because in the end you hunt and then snatch all your lunch, a well-matched munching creature crunching complete. Ah, farewell, oh thou mosquito. Flit and flurry fly, decked out so merry for your evening's dining, dancing glory. Go forth, snatch a smug bug up there in the air while they're on their wing. It's your thing. Go, do your wing. Scientists who study the darkling flying buddy say there's 2 sizes, sum you up from their study. Microbats with flying caps, flit and flying in the night, and megabats with tall silk hats. The topper is a whopper with a wingspan, I understand, as a 1/10 of 60 feet. Pretty neat. Using echolocation, sewing up the situation, while flitting and flying, there's no denying you the master flare of air. Using high-pitched sounds that echo and rebound, you're a veritable flighty chorus of the air. As you're winging, always singing, just averting aerobatic disaster, as you're alerting, always averting these darkling obstacles, absent tiny spectacles. combining and refining echo vision with seamless precision as ever-widening waves of sound, a song ever so delicate and dedicated, quite profoundly stated. High above the ground, unencumbered, liberated, it keeps you flying there, avoiding obstacles where no chart topper, hip-shaking, hip-hopper, making glorious, record-faking ever loud. The megabats are tropical fellows, feasting on fruits and pollen to boot. They have great eyes and a great sense of smell, though from the ground you could hardly tell. Our friends the bats, whether eating bugs or singing their hits, while they swoop and fly and flit, seldom climb up to your neck to nestle. No, my friends, you're not their drinking vessel. Despite the old count in the castle, no bat worth his hat will take a bite of your neck. Heck, with science, I checked.
Let's unmute, give him some love, my friends, give him some love. Although I see the situation a little bit differently, I just love your perspective. So, and the fact that you put it into poetry and you invite people to listen like I do with my point of view, because it's just a point of view. It's not the truth, it's just our point of view. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I would love to get back to a world where we can have different political viewpoints, parties, affiliation, and still get along and call each other brothers and support each other. So I just love your work. You're very rhythmic, but thought-provoking. And as much as I may not agree with things, I still hear a lot of truth in the things you say, and it invites me to maybe step out of my perspective and look at things from a different way. So I was
You're always generous, my brother. Always generous.
Oh, I appreciate you, my friend. I do. I really do. So thank you so much for that. All right, let's continue on. One storyteller to the next. And this woman is coming from the East Coast as well. Claire Beer, you're on the mic, my friend. Good to see you.
Thank you, my dear. My voice is a little lacking today because I went to the Renaissance Fair yesterday, and I yelled and screamed, and I had a really great time. So my voice is a little...
That's okay. We'll take it.
All right. So I'm going to read two pieces for you. The first one is from my first book, Listen. And I chose this piece because summer is, passing and we're coming into fall. So this piece is called Early Autumn Came the Fall. Bright bouquets of leaves, young trees in a grove, caught my gaze early this autumn. In my daily travels, these fleeting images, hastily taken for granted. The camera lens can wait. Another day, another time when I can find it. You left us on a Friday. I had waited too long on my path. The leaves were gone. That picture never taken. Thank you. And I have another piece I'd like to read. It was inspired by our fabulous feature reader who read A Villanelle. And I love format poetry, and this is one of my villanelles. God, my voice is awful. Ugh. This is titled Blindfold. No portent could I've scried, nor would believe had I been told the depths in which you lied. Whose intuition could have spied trespasses against me so bold? No portent could I've scried, to crush my point of pride, my spirit stripped and sold, the depths in which you lied. My insight had been tied, instinct bound in blindfold. No portent could I've scried. Eyes dried from tears cried, trust abandoned in the cold, the depths in which you lied, nothing left love has died.
Hi, I just wanted to come off my video. Yes. Tell me.
Nothing left, love has died. Truth you did withhold, no portent could I've scried, the depths of which you lied. Thank you. My voice is shit.
Give it up for her, unmute, give it up. Your voice works, actually. They're asking us. No, you hearing it, it does, but it worked for us, so. Well done, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us again. How was your visit with your daughter last month there?
You know, it's really great. She bought a school bus. Her and her boyfriend bought a school bus. They're moving into it. They're doing the road life thing. She's 23, and I couldn't be happier for my child right now, just because she's happy, and that's the whole point. Like, I just want her to be happy, and I see her so elevated, and that's all I could ever want.
No, good for her.
I am just so blissed out right now between my kid and my poetry. On another personal note, I went to the National Beat Poetry Festival.
Yes, I saw. Yes.
Yeah, and it was a humbling honor to be there. I can't be eloquent about it because I'm still shaking over meeting all these fantastic people who rubbed elbows with, you know, the greats, Kerouac, Ferlinghetti, Michael McClure, you know.
Yeah, the beat poets of the day.
Yeah, it was amazing to meet these people and to hear them read.
Yeah, I popped on to watch some of it, and yeah, it was amazing. So
yeah, it was a beautiful weekend.
Yeah, it is.
But thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Glad things are flowing. Stay in the flow. Drop your info in the chat so people can contact you. Reach out to her. She's a good woman, man. Really good.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate you.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome. All right. Speaking of flow, we'll move across the ocean to the coast of Africa, Sierra Leone. Our poet friend, another mover and shaker, Sapongo, is on. The mic is yours, my friend.
Thank you very much, Raul. Can you hear me?
Can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, that's good. A very good afternoon to you all. If you don't mind, today I won't let you see my handsome face, but I'm gonna show you this. I'm at the beach, so I thought maybe you can also enjoy as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring my notebook. I wanted to read a more recent poem, so I'm gonna recite one. I'm gonna recite a poem I've recited before, but I don't think I've done it on this space. So yeah, do enjoy. The Rain Dance. We all sat around the fireplaces, the tongues of the fire seemingly taunting our hungry-looking faces. We had not left the room, no, none had the nerve, not until the ritual was over. We sat on the floor, cross-legged, frozen, waiting for the first droplet. The ground smelt of first sea, spring had come and gone, but even the trees that hung onto their leaves were grieved to hear them fall to the ground, raising tons of dust that hung above our heads like a friendly ghost come to boast. The rhythm of life could sing to the cries of the bleeding goats. We had drank their blood and ate the flesh of their kin in an effort to keep soul glued to skin. The people were quiet, but each whispered in their minds the truth unspeakable. The crusty pool that stood atop the cathedral, seemingly violating the sky, rendered her barren. Gone are the days of the rain dance when the rainmaker through the orifices of the word springs in Binga disappeared for 7 days and came back with basket loads of harvest maize to tell of a bumper harvest, a gift from the gods of the land. If he came with his hands empty like politicians' promise of food security, the tribe knew that the drums had to beat for the people to clap and the gods to dance until the earth cried tears of rain. We were one with the land, most are gods of the rain. So I pray thee tell girl which goes to this self that makes you starve. No, no blasphemy. Let's have none of that nonsense for the starving child whose father works the fields but the rains don't fall, whose mother gathers the wood but the cat sleeps on the head, whose stomach grumbles the Lord's prayer but all the Lords are deaf. Shoulders will never carry the unpleasant weight of a scuffed teen as she goes to school. She bends but not a single droplet for her throat to cool. So she learns at school that the globe is getting warm, that Mother Earth never speaks, but she whispers silent cries every time a car turns into a passive smoker, taking her to cloud nine. But do you know what smoke does to lungs? It creates a hole so big the sound will escape the hands of time and burn us all alive. No rain to cool us down, let alone irrigate the Garden of Eden, long lost to the hands of men. Peace.
Oh, wow, brother. You can recite that over and over anytime you want. Wow.
Really well read.
And you know, it actually worked with you showing us the landscape where you are with the ocean and the beach and everything. That was powerful. Well done. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks for not just sharing your words. You're a bit of where you are in your environment. For those of you that may have missed it, he was featured this past Tuesday, I believe. It's a spoken word. Spoken word online. So hopefully David will have posted that. Find it on YouTube. It was a powerful set. So yeah,
thank you.
Beautiful, powerful poet that's not just mighty with the pen, but looking to make a difference socially in his environment and uplifting others. So he's another young person, another young poet I invite people to get to know and understand, you know, what he's trying to do in this world and uplifting himself by uplifting others. So well done, brother. Well done.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
drop
you
your stuff. You know how to do it. Drop your stuff in the chat so people know how to reach you and support you. And the hits keep coming from going back across the ocean down to Florida. Pen for the people, pen of the people. I will call to the mic our friend Jennifer.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Thank you all for making this so nice to hear everybody and see everybody. I'll be reading a piece from my new book titled Things. I will be doing also a in-studio session this weekend. So I'm nervous, I'm excited, and I'm practicing. So hopefully you guys enjoy. Okay. Sometimes my feelings write stories. Unspoken things that catch at my throat or slip up and stumble upon themselves when they cannot seem to express what they are to the outer spaces of these places that they tend to wander into without an intro, just becoming deductions for existing within places that don't accept what they are, intangible emotions that are fighting to make space within the realm of us and we. Sometimes my feelings cause anger. When a shy girl like me with a quick wit and a quick-whipped tongue feels their emotions rise to the light and linger on the teeth they bite to fight down the words that clamor for a place in my vocab, oh, barely do I get them back to a safe distance, a safe place that you can't deduce nor contrive what I got for you inside. And with all that willpower at its peak, my body is hot and my belly is fire, to where all I have left is to lash out at the fact that my eloquent and elegant proclamation to make you mine has to sit in the back seat while rage takes a ride on that Pontiac Pride, where my voice booms and shakes you up and rattles your cage just to get a reaction, to avoid interactions, the dance of my feelings and emotions colliding, to encrypt the message that looms in the waltz between tales and gestures, and there it is, the final curtain, the last hurrah, the goodbye, the it's not you, it's me, but it's really you, and yeah, you're cool, but just too cool, you know. And there it goes. The story of devotionals dedicated to you, whisked away by the strength in my veins, the voice of anger with a message for you, there it goes. Sometimes my feelings write endings. Thank you.
Woo. Just the one?
Yeah, that's it. Unless you want me to read another one. I can
one
read
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Okay, I can read another one.
Just read
You
another
don't have to push me too much. This one is, I'm thinking about it to be my encore. I already have like 6 pieces lined up. So again, I have to practice. Okay.
You're gonna do great. You're gonna do great.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, here goes. Love me gently. I have been beaten by gravestones of possibilities, wept tears of grace poised at the edge of the end, structures crumbling upon the fears of tomorrow, for I feel it will never come. Living in the repeats of yesterdays over and over, new days stuck in the past over and over. Can a promise be kept in times like these? Endings floating in the ashened clouds, looking for a place to land, find a home in the homeless. How do I land? Find ground in the times when the earth shakes at the new tragedy of the day. How to swallow the travesty of being in times like these. Thank you.
Just love your words. Love the structure, the way you play together, and then your voice. You just have that reading voice. I want to hear it all the time. So well done.
Thank
and
you.
Really enjoy the process of preparing for this show. You're going to do great. Embrace the nerves. A lot of people will tell you, don't get nervous. That's a lie. Embrace the nerves. Embrace it. Fear says you're not worthy, but nerves say you're about to do something important. So why not enjoy it, right? So well done. Thank you so much for being here and being a supporter. Drop your stuff in the chat. People, I invite you to get to know this woman. Her poetry is brilliant. But then again, we're in a room of brilliance, are we not? So, all right, let's continue on. Up next is my friend. I affectionately call him the professor, and it's meant with utmost love and respect. Put your hands together for Ian.
Thank you, Moses. Thank you. Yeah, so right there, if you don't feel the nerves, then you're probably dead, but as they say. This is first poem is one I went through this period I was writing or trying to write poems for jazz accompaniment. Inspired, I've been reading Lawrence Ferlinghetti's Coney Island of the Mind, and there's a section there. He's written these poems for jazz accompaniment, so I thought I'd have a go at that, and this is probably the best one of that sequence. It's called Whale. Pick up your bedroll and start walking. The Rolodex Starcast fate of the world is at hand. Time to pick up your horn and wail, sing the blues to a jazz-tinged lament for all the sakes of man and his kind. Wail for Mother Earth, wail for the broken sanctity of the Holy See. Wail for the lost virginity of sacred oaths that no longer bind us to the broken wheel of passing generations. Wail for your own fractured crown that sits redundant over there in the deserted corner of your conscience. No one else will speak up for it. Wail for the lost souls who washed up with the storm rack, lashed and battered by willful neglect, the lost opportunities that blew warm whispers into your ear, then vanished between your fingers like a creeping mist passing through the tattered sieve of your self-preservation. Wail for those deceived and then betrayed by the hashtag lies of vainglorious politicians. Wail for the bruised and broken truth that lies whimpering at your feet, begging for reprieve. Wail for your dying aspirations that linger like a cancer in remission as you wake in cold sweat caught on the barbs of a casual whim. Wail for the long-lost voices of the poets whose lips are sealed and cauterized on the searing brand of willful ignorance, self-serving evasion, and self-deluding lies. Now wail for what cannot be returned to its rightful place. Wail for the dimming rays of the future hopes turns to ashes in the inferno of the wasteland where your dreams curl up and die. Betrayed, wrung out and shattered on the throw of the loaded dice. And when you have finished the last chorus of your song and you have exhausted every note, pack away your tarnished horn, close the door behind you quietly as you step back out into the night. Thanks. First one, and second one, last one. It's a seasonal theme. I wrote it earlier this year. It's called Autumnal Blues, so for the time of year. Soft blush of September sun. Autumn is a Kuminian. Magpies sit clacking in the trees opposite my balcony window. Do they bring good fortune? Only the looming days of autumnal shedding will tell us. I'm not averse to winters. At least you know what you're getting. Darkness interspersed by liquefied rays of sun to add a bright glaze, a thin coating over that damp cold clinging to your bones. And with it, the clock ticks on in 4-minute intervals that carry our solar lantern further away with each passing day over the rim of a shifting horizon. And the evenings darken into deeper night before eventually recycling back towards next spring's new awakenings. In the meantime, I snuggle further into myself, putting up soft barriers of insulation to keep out the chills. So, all in all, everything's on trend, all except those nagging doubts as ice caps struggle in their counterattacks against creeping threats. Thank you. It's me.
Unmute and show some love. Show the professor some words, the flow, the tone. Deep, yeah, profound, very profound, but so inviting at the same time. I just love your performances, Ian. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much.
Bravo, sir. Bravo.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
In good company.
Well, you're a good man to have in company, my friend. All right, staying in the UK. This force of nature is definitely becoming a mover and shaker. She's the host of Worlds Collide, open mic that she just started. She does her own podcast. Last month, or maybe earlier this month, she did a 24-hour poetry marathon. She's just crazy, but crazy in a good way, in a poetic way. I say put your hands together for J. Rose.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me along. I've got 2 poems today. I normally only do 1, but because the first one I don't tell very often is very deeply personal and introspective, I thought I'd balance it out with a shorter, more hopeful one afterwards, if you'll permit me. This first one is called Impossible Story. And I know it's impossible because I'm going to tell you this story. And I assure you it's absolutely true. I know because I was there. And honestly, in the cold light of day, I'd be as skeptical as you. And this story's been sitting here for a while waiting to be told, but I always held off for fears of growing old. And I think now may be the right place for this story to be told. Throughout my life, odd things have happened, things that used to haunt and frighten me, things I couldn't explain or could imagine, things I couldn't dismiss as phantasm nor fantasy. But now I'm older, maybe wiser, debatable. And these same things give me strength in getting through each day of my life, and they help in finding me. But please bear with me as this part of the story doesn't yet stick well with me. It's one of the hardest things to share, you know. I think it's one of those inestimable memories. I had a friend when I was a teen who I loved dearly and I think felt the same about me. Now I was different then, right? I was shy, quiet, reluctant, and I lived my whole life introvertedly, unable to really express what was going on in my mind or anything really. Growing up, you see, confidence was harshly stripped away and childhood took its toll and it hadn't been very easy. And yet I met this person, so different, but at the same time, we made a connection quite early. We shared experiences and the rest for a while. Well, we were writing a new history. And you see, they helped me. We met when I was standing on the edge and they listened and helped me away from the ledge. And they inspired me and suddenly I became we. But not long after they died for much the same reasons as they found me. But I survived, becoming their legacy. Alone now, I forced me to pick myself up and I pushed the hurt deep down inside like I was used to doing. I locked away in the crypt of the dust-settled memory inside. And it was the only way, you see, I could actually look at me or bear my own company or not just cry when someone even dared look at me, reaching out for an invisible hand that's no longer near me. I just existed. Time passed and I treated many an evening as if it was my last. Many years later, I was going through a hard time and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stay awake. I was walking a fine line. I was drinking a lot of wine. And then one night or the early morning, whichever way you look at it, something extraordinary, impossible, really. They just appeared there in my living room. And I felt safe right away, serene in fact, and unafraid. And why, really, I can't say. But I know I was prepared to stay. And before you ask, yes, my mind was intact. I was never going to flee. For the second time in my life, someone could actually see me, not just label virtues, ideally. And please remember, I did say right at the outset, you wouldn't believe me, because even I know how it sounds. We talked for hours and they hadn't changed at all. And yet they saw me for who and how I am today and didn't question me at all. And once again, I started to feel tall. And as the morning sun came up, I briefly looked out through the curtain. And as I looked back, they smiled and faded. The last goodbye, I was certain. They lifted me as I was about to fall. And then I literally freaked out, right? I was struggling for breath. I couldn't keep emotions at bay. And the truth be told, I wanted them to stay. And in that moment, I was ready to go. I want to come with you, I cried. And I heard a whisper, no, you've got to stay. It's not your time. And that was that. And it took a few days to carry on and to reflect that they had actually gone. But surprisingly, I slept calm and well. You see, I think yet again, they came to save me and to remind me not to dwell. And I haven't seen them since. I'm left with this unusual allegory. And you may not be convinced, but it's okay, because this is my impossible story. Thank you. And to balance that one out, I'd like to do a more hopeful, shorter one, if you wouldn't mind. This is called Witness. I bear witness. I bear witness to you, to your beautiful truth, to your hopes and dreams of who you are. The birth of a star, the eclipse of a moon, the rings of Saturn and the marriage of June. From Euler's formula to the symphony orchestra, I witnessed all of these things, but nothing is more precious to me than you. I gazed upon the glowing waters of Thailand and drew back the moonbow of Zimbabwe. I saw the majesty of the Rainbow Mountain of China, caressed the light pillars of Russia, descended the crater of fire of Turkmenistan, and plunged headfirst into the pink lake of Ilia. But I surge with emotion when I look upon you. I give you an ocean of grand canyons, walk your footsteps along the Great Wall of China, scale the dizzy heights of Petra and carpet the world in the Japanese cherry blossom. And in the afternoon, I rub beaks with the puffins of the Faroes. I do all of this to prepare the world for you. I hold back the volcano that destroyed Pompeii, unearth the millennia of buried secrets of Giza, paint pastel red the town of Tomatino. I brave the devil's throat of Argentina and lead the charge of the stampede of Calgary. And yet I still find time to marvel at the sunrise of Tikal. I bear witness to your beautiful face, to your soul, to your heart, and to your mind. And I want you to know that there is not one thing across all time or space more precious to me than you. I bear witness. I bear witness to you. Thank you very much.
Yay.
Wow. So glad you are here, Jay. This is your time. You're brilliant. Not just the words, the performance, the combination, the words, the depth, and the story. Man, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Give her another hand, guys. And Jay, please put your information in.
Thank you, everyone.
Put your chat information. I think Leslie just asked about your new open mic that we should all definitely support. So thank you so much again. All right, we'll continue from across the ocean to the island of Saint Martin. And this, poets, I invite you to please stay unmuted for this person. It's her first time really reciting. I know she's a bit nervous. As I always say, embrace the nerves, because you're about to do something important. Anyway, snap it up, clap it up, but Tashera.
No fear. Get it.
Woo. Happy Sunday, everybody. J. Rose, that was awesome. That was really awesome. And I feel like the first poem I'm about to read is for all poets. And I would like to dedicate this to you especially because I really felt your poem. So here I go. My poetry is me. It's me spread paper thin, laid bare enough to be examined and maybe even appreciated, for assisting you with words that were not previously enunciated. But can I tell you how terrifying it is to peruse, based on a true story when you happen to be the muse, sometimes just amusing, sometimes just confusing, and sometimes just a reminder that we all are losing our minds just a little bit. Every day we deposit a little more sadness, a little more madness or sanity, because equilibrium is a sweet vanity. I digress. But basically, the very same things I get off my chest have been causing you congestion too. So I spread until I am paper thin, transparent enough to examine. I spread so we can breathe again. So I have another one. This one is called Body Parts, and this is from my new book, Deeper, that has not been published as yet. I didn't want to give up on you, but you left me with no choice, because you were consistently inconsistent and making the wrong body parts moist, hovering around me socially after you ghost me, and then when I least expected, I am magically unrejected, killing me with a random, I hope all is well. And yet again, not with the body part as well. It's amazing what I would endure, but I would tell myself when I wasn't sure if I was just used to toxicity, or could it simply be that maybe my broken body part was still healing. And this was an opportunity at revealing what still needed to be integrated, maybe an opportunity to get fully regulated and learn to trust myself again. Some body parts won't let me forget, others won't let me regret, and others still dance and prance and celebrate that it was not too late, but rather right on time when I changed my mind about you. Thank you. I have one more to read if I have enough time.
Please do.
Okay. And I don't name my poems, I just write them. And until I publish, that's when I figure out what the title is. So I'm not sure what this one is called. They insist on bringing me pain. Do I need more reasons to cry? And when the tears refuse to fall, they give it their all and continue to try. Why? Is my indifference to your numerous attempts to disrupt my energy while you pretended not to be my enemy was difficult for you to comprehend, my pretend friend? Allow me to break it down for you. I apologize if I make life look easy. Truly it isn't. But I have faced my truths and remain consistent with my soul, so now I know the difference between my journey and your obstacles. See, I am the oracle of my life. And honestly, I do not need any more strife. So if you see me and don't like me, it's highly likely that you have found yourself triggered and you figured it would be easier to hurt me. But that energy would be better utilized, internalized, and geared at your shadows. Because hurting me will never bring me low enough for you to reach. But thank you for the opportunity to be gracious and truly practice what I preach. Thank you, guys.
Let's unmute and give a love. First time reading here. She dazzled us at the Moon Lovers Cafe for Marianne's book launch on last Friday.
Well done.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
You should feel great. Oh, yeah, look at that. I love that.
It wasn't as terrible as I was anticipating, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I haven't lost a
again.
patient yet. No one is instantly combusted from reciting. So, but it feels great when you do it, especially when you build up something in your head and it doesn't pan out the way you think. And your words are brilliant. You have a brilliant way of capturing stories. Right?
Thank you
That's why I always
much.
invite poets. We need to stop looking at each other, and sometimes someone will go, "Oh, how am I supposed to follow that person?" It's not a competition. You all have every right to stand in your full glory and share your truth. Brilliant. Well done. Come back. Come back. I'll be reaching out to feature you in the coming days. So well done. Well done. All right. Let's keep going. And from one force of nature to the next, this woman is, I think I saw someone lovingly said she's all over the place these days. She's got a new book coming out, and I'll let her tell us a little bit about it, but her poetry stands for itself, speak for itself. This is why she's a force of nature. This is why you see her in all these different rooms and people are inviting her to speak. This is why I invited her to speak and to come and share. So anyway, put your hands together for Neymar.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to be sharing a couple of poems with you today. The first one is from my upcoming collection, COVID, The Wordy Wilds of a Mind Under Lockdown, available to buy from Waterstones and Micah Press from October the 3rd. This is called Tired. So tired of all the hullabaloo, the postured extolling, the political patrolling, pointless servile scrolling, a time-stealing, void-filling milieu. So dejected by the disclosures, the grim severity of each bulletin, a bullet in, broadcasting barbarity, endemic exposures without closure. So drained by the demands, the cumbersome obligations, the guilt of expectation of frail, isolated relations, clinging liver-spotted hands, a bitter admonition of my own fraying mortality, life's breaking banality, the inescapable finality, crumbling cognition. So fatigued by the sleep that refuses to come as the hours clang on, the respite my thoughts shun until dawn's first cheep, vanishing into the beam of golden shards of dreams, to awaken all alone, death only ever our own. Thank you. And the second poem is one that I wrote fairly recently, and it's called Conquer Season. September brings a bountiful crop of conkers, Relentlessly we coveted them. Beneath the bushes and in the drains, there was no terrain we feared to conquer. Scarlet ribbon painted hands as we scrambled in the bramble. No green cross code as we darted into the road to snatch up burnt sienna, jewel, promises of a tenor, intrepid explorers on a treasure-filled preamble, fishing mahogany pearls out of the canal, holding them up, their silky surface glistens in the fading sun. Commandos, belly down, a covert operation, snakes slithering through the thorny chaparral. The mighty horse chestnut blessing generations, teaching little hands how to pierce the prize without breaking, threading the string through, focused on the undertaking. A whack, then a crack, brings great jubilation. Nail varnish or vinegar to arm our champions, our babies before Tamagotchi and Pokemon, conkers and jacks, usurped by the E-season. The crack of impact consigned to the days bygone. Thank you.
Unmute, guys, unmute. Powerful, powerful. Brilliant piece, brilliant. Thank you so much. And put your chat information in chat. And like I said, she has a book coming up. When is your book due?
October the 3rd.
Wow. So like in 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
3 weeks. We'll have to celebrate that. Well done. Another poet gets to bring their books to life. Yes, yes. Well done, Neema. Well done. Thank you so much. Thank you for blessing us with your love and your presence today. So, all right, let's continue on. Next up, the esoteric, the stoic, the man of wisdom. You know, people say, I like to say I'm a spiritual poet. I don't know what that necessarily means, but Doc kind of reminds me of that. His work is deep yet understanding and so profound, and it's universal as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to shut up and let his words do the speaking for him. Put your hands together for Doc.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. My first poem is titled Sanctuary. In the gardens of life and time, there is a sanctuary of self, a sanctuary where mantras are chanted, an abditory of all which is dear, all which is sacred, all which is sacrosanct. It is a sanctuary where memories dwell, memories of love, passion, joy, and ecstasy, of peace, comfort, warmth, and home, of quiet hugs and intimacy, of kuch, saudade, and hiraeth, of walks among spring's burgeoning green and flowers, of playing in warm summer rains, of walks amid autumn's leafy palette, of winter sled rides down snowy slopes, of dreaming nights neath star-filled skies, of wandering wind-blown on a sandy beach, the taste of salt in the air, of wandering forested paths in a temple of trees, the sounds, sights, and scents a delight, of wandering amid ancient mysteries of thought and time, of lying on an ancient altar stone, communing with the earth, the stars, and the multiverse, of teaching the I can't do it's to believe they can, of cradling my newborns in my arms, of purring kittens and cats, of philosophy and art, music and poetry, and all the arcane ancient magic of nature and time. It is a sanctuary of darshan, of things I remember, which remember me, a sanctuary of me. My second poem, I had to reach back 7 years because Leah's first poem mentioning storms reminded me of this one. The title is Tears of My Soul. I stand on a bluff and look over the lake, watching as the storm rolls in and lightning plays all about. I smell the ozone, hear and feel the thunder as it rumbles deep within. I am in awe of nature's power as it stirs me and resounds to the depths of my soul. The wind picks up the breakers' spray. I feel its force and lift as it tugs at me. It says, "Come with me. Let yourself go." I inhale, spread my arms, become wings, but I am held back, and the rain is the tears of my soul. And if I may, I'd like to read one last poem.
Of course you can, Doc.
I wrote this yesterday in a meditative mood. Waltz. Listening to waltzes tonight, wishing I could be waltzing at a grand ball with someone in my arms. Someone who could love me as I would love them. Someone with whom to dance the waltz of infinity, the waltz of darshan, the waltz of kuch. Someone with whom to dance all the unwritten waltzes, the waltzes of the forever beyond forever, the waltzes sung from the far side of never and the far reaches of entropy's end, waltzes without end. Thank you.
Let's unmute, guys. He's not the poet laureate of New Mexico or the United States. I'll just say you're the poet laureate of humanity.
Of South Euclid, Ohio.
No, of humanity. You're the poet laureate of humanity.
I was close. I was close.
The words, the way you deliver them, it's just, I feel like you touching my soul, Doc.
Thank you.
Brilliant. You are brilliant.
All the way from Ohio to the Gulf of Mexico.
Yes. And the fact you'd write a poem not just about waltzing, but about still wanting love. Doesn't matter what age we are. It's what we want and desire, to be able to waltz with someone. So I wish that for you, my friend. Thank you so much.
And to me, the waltz is the ultimate dance of love.
Not the tango.
Well done. Well, it sounds like there's a challenge and one right about the waltz, one right about the tango. Let's see who comes out on top.
Inspired.
Inspired. Well done, Doc. Thank you so much for reminding us of what matters most. Live it and live it and live it. All right. Next up, this man, I believe he's on tour right now. I'm not sure. He's from Toronto. We're from the same hometown. This is the first time he's coming to the Inspired Poetry Corner, so I'm really honored that he has joined us this morning. Put your hand together for Jeff.
Thanks, Raul.
You're most welcome, my friend.
So the tour that Raul mentioned is actually next month. I will be going through the UK and even a little bit of France with our Australian friend Skylar Winter and her designer Neshka Turner. So I'll put some info about that in the chat after my set. So this poem, an excerpt of this poem, was published this year in the recent Brownstone Poets Anthology in New York. This is called Vanilla Ice Cream People. From the makers of vanilla ice cream, we now bring you Vanilla Ice Cream People. You find them in all the monster malls and gated backyards, never leaving a location without a car. Vanilla ice cream people, the people who find butterscotch ripple too dark and dangerous. The way great artists suffer for their visions, vanilla ice cream people ache to achieve the perfect front lawn. When vanilla ice cream people want a fun night out, they shove the kids into the SUV and dash to Pickle Barrel and a softball game. When vanilla ice cream people want a good laugh, they count on Garfield or an afternoon of Who's the Boss reruns. When vanilla ice cream people want to improve their minds, they scan their bookshelves for the works of Anthony Robbins and Philip McGraw. Vanilla ice cream people dream vanilla ice cream dreams. One lady says, "Today, I'm a sales rep. But if I apply myself and work hard and set clear goals and steel myself to face tough challenges in a few years, why, I could be assistant to the manager. No, dare I say it? Assistant manager." And one man says, "I'm so depressed, but I'll feel better after I buy that new waffle maker by Cuisinart." Vanilla ice cream people know how to make benign conversation that offends nobody. "How's it going?" And "Mondays, eh?" Or if they feel plucky, "You working hard or hardly working?" Ha ha! And vanilla ice cream people have bedrock values. They know what is important in life. Like a 2-story house with a giant garage, housing at least 2 cars, and the sexiest lawnmower in the lane. And babies, barrels and barrels of babies, and more babies. There can never be too many babies. Babies raised more by Disney and football than by their parents, who just pay for swimming and piano lessons. Babies who eat vanilla ice cream or plain chips for every dessert and never question the meaning of it all, and then grow up to be the next generation of vanilla ice cream people. Vanilla ice cream people who would rather die than give Neapolitan a fair try. So that was vanilla ice cream people. And if I have time for a second one, this is called, This Is Also to Say. This is also to say, I have also eaten the leftover pizza that was beside the plums, and which you are going to microwave for lunch tomorrow. It was a bit stale, but I ate it anyway and washed it down with 2 of your Stellas. I also cooked and ate the white chickens beside that rain-glazed barrow that your upcoming family feast was probably depending upon. And I stomped on all those greeny flowers in your garden for the hell of it. And I fucked your wife. She was incredible, so sweet and so hot. I regret nothing. She screamed in twisted ecstasy, and then we laughed about your shortcomings. Now she wants to leave you, move in with me, and bear my kids. She will sue you for your house, half your money, and full custody of Brad. By the way, Brad hates you too. He thinks you are the dullest daddy. I will take him to Disneyland and then buy him a puppy. I have the money to do that, and you do not. So tough shit. This is also to say, I have written another parody of Carlos Williams. I tried to match his formatting, but probably did a lousy job. Forgive me, I was uninspired, so lazy, and so cheap. So that was This Is Also to Say. If you're in the UK, again, catch me in a town or a city near you the second half of next month. And I have a novel for sale that you should buy. It looks like that.
Put it in the chat. Give him some love. Give him some love before he goes on his big tour. I love the stuff you do, Jeff. You use humor to get us to look at life in the seriousness of life with humor. I love it.
Thank you.
But I love vanilla and floral. What does that say about me, though?
That's wonderful.
Well done.
Pop into Reading, Jeff. I'll treat you to some vanilla ice cream with strawberries.
Oh, I featured in Reading once, actually, back in 2011. When AF Herald was hosting Poets Cafe, he featured me there.
Oh, cool. I might have been there. Yeah.
There you go.
You might have been there. Who knows?
There's a list of cities that Jeff will be in the UK and in Paris. So have a successful trip, my friend. Look forward to, hopefully we'll catch you while you're over there.
Cheers, yeah.
Yeah, so, but be brilliant. Well, that's a given. So anyway, one last snap and clap it up for Jeff. Send him off with love so he can take it with him. And then there was one. And when we talk about one and last, it's not last. Can you guys hold a sec? We got teenagers upstairs, so. It's not last in the line, last in the queue. It is the end of the show, and someone always has to bring home the show. And I couldn't think of a better way to end this show, to call in all the markers to send us home with a vibrancy of love and creativity than our friend from the UK, Leslie. Leslie, the floor is yours.
Oh, what a wonderful way to spend a day. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read two. And this one is homage to one of my favorite filmmakers, the surrealist Luis Buñuel, Spanish, but he lived internationally. So this one is a riff off of his film called That Obscure Object of Desire, but I'm simply calling it The Obscure Object of Desire. There is an emptiness in desire that stares you down unflinching. You await the gaze, not looking, but ahead of it is understood not to look, understanding not looking. Indirect, you see that it is you wavering. Desire remains. You there wavering, unsure the exact location of this desire or that which you call it, you waver in the why not. If you dance, the sudden movement jars it loose, this desire attached at the hip to pause, wiggle the toes, but only those fourth and fifth and to the left. It is a sensation you are unprepared for as it attaches your desire to the cords of the neck, the tickle now sudden in your throat, unreachable, a giggle perhaps, rises up from the toes, the sensation to sneeze gripped upon you when you don't care to sneeze just now, or you can't. You will not allow this further down. You simply will not permit it, this desire, to slide the length of the gullet and hit, jarring the senses like a bump in the night portion of you that says, ooh, that spot, quiet enough to be perfunctorily there, assuredly there, the spot, but nonetheless unexpected and not spoken of, that spot. You certainly do not expect it to shout after all. Inconvenient if you are in public. What you call this? I know what I think and will not name it because I know better and know that I simply do not understand enough to have the words to call it better. I know that I am not in control, never that, and I never was. We live with this nameless consideration. I could call it anything. I could call it lunch, but it, my desire, would not sit with me and eat or even talk, not a polite exchange, nothing polite, nothing close, gibberish at best. The toes on the other foot, the one second from the right and third in from the left, rather, has this understood, the curling. The curling of these two toes is when you know you have arrived close enough to desire that you can at least relax momentarily and just be. And so my last poem is very recent. And speaking of desire, I live in 3 places, and when I'm in a place, the other 2 call to me, and that's desire. This one's about another place I live, which is Santa Fe, New Mexico, northern New Mexico. It's called High Desert Lake. Renew the you to the interior, the lake still, no need to show, to shine the inside of you outward. Renew the you, the still lake of nothing, no movement. It lays calm, unmoving, no need to show or tell what it, the dull glow is radiating quietly by itself and for no one else talking its language, not yours, and to no one, the quiet language of existence, tuned to the ears of stars, the deep, slow, sonorous turns of movements, sighs deep in earth connected to your inner ear before trailing up into the firmament to touch briefly with star to star on its way. It will return to you, this voice, to shout or to whisper. It doesn't matter. It's the same voice, same music sung, below the high tones pitched, different, and you turn your head, tilt your head, a happy dog, knowing you can hear the pitch from a range high up to the north. The mountains of New Mexico signal you back home, and you will arrive. You will arrive. The dirt is nothing, only the sound which emanates from it. I will ask for nothing but the procession of souls upon being there, the parasols, delicately balanced thought, the depth of love for you, colors of each in harmony with moon, the salt air rising above sound, its mist rising, risen high like sun. I ride your horse, Manuel, in the wake of you, in the wake of the gone one, and we travel together, knowing loss, mourning, and like the sound of dirt, we both know we are eternal. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Let's unmute and give Leslie love. Look at that smile. And just the poetry, the words, but your voice, just this meditative, inviting voice. Yeah, well done. Thank you so much for being here, for being a supporter, and for sharing your words and your brilliance with us. Well, that brings us to the end of our recital. And in the words of E.M. Forster, it isn't possible to love in part. You will wish that it was. You can transmute love, ignore it, muddle it, but you can never pull it out of you. I know by experience that the poets are right. Love is eternal. That is so true. Love is eternal, just like we are eternal spirits living in these physical forms. I want to thank our brilliant feature today, Leah Bailey, for being that love that led the example, that invited us into her world through her experiences of words. And then to all you poets for being open and being vulnerable and sharing. Vulnerability is a beautiful thing. It is not weak in any facet. It's about strength. The strength to show who we really are and how we're feeling in the moment. As I said, Brother Richard and I are truly brothers. I don't necessarily align with him from a political standpoint, but I align with him because he's human. And I have great respect for what he has done because he shares the same passion I do, this uplifting our humanity. There's no right or wrong in uplifting our humanity. We just have different perspectives on how we see things. And that's what makes this life so rich and so vital and so vibrant. So I thank you for supporting the Inspired Poetry Corner. I invite you to continue to write, to share your brilliance, to spark the change in this world. None of us have it all right or wrong, but we just know that we can live a better life and we can do it together. And it's only together we get to do this. So embrace your adversaries, because who else would you have? We get to do this together, the loving and the fighting, the shouting and the yelling. I just listened to a big shouting match upstairs with teenagers, and I'm shouting back, telling them, be quiet, I'm doing a show and I'm taping this now. And then they go, I know, but we're not trying to be mean. I go, I know, just shut up. Who else am I gonna do that with? We get to do this journey together. Doesn't matter how you identify, doesn't matter what your political association is, doesn't matter anything. We are human and we get to do this together. So on that note, I say thank you. Thank you for being here. go off and be that spark in the world. I will post this up as soon as it, probably by tomorrow, put it up and let you know. Please support each other best that you can. I know things are tight financially around the world, but you know, it doesn't just necessarily have to be buying each other's books, but just show up. Like I said, Jay has an open mic. There's an open mic show that I started last month that's coming up this Wednesday. Look out for the post on it. You're welcome to come and join. I always like to create spaces for new voices that don't get a chance to speak, or maybe like our friend to share a little bit shy in doing so. And then once they take the mic, they realize just how brilliant they are and people want to hear your words. There's a lot of great things going on. Anyway, I love you all. Be gentle with yourself so you can be gentle with someone else. Peace.
Thank